I actually grew up with a lot of disdain and resentment towards women. It never came out in like a conscious sense where I would like commit hate crimes towards women or anything like that, but I had a very subliminal, subconscious distaste towards women, you know? Now, I had very bad anxiety and depression for a very long time, so I didn't really have any in real life friends, but I did have friends online. And a few of those friends were actually women. And I remember being sat in Discord call with my friends, and we'd have a, you know, small disagreement with one of our female friends. And then we'll just sit there and like just sort of complain about like, oh, fucking women, am I right, bro? Like, I fucking hate women, man, am I right, guys? And obviously it was kind of jokey, but at the same time, like, it did actually manifest itself somewhat into my actual interactions with women. And if anything I just said to you resonates with you, then this video is for you. Because whether you think it's a joke or not, it does actually affect your relationships with women subconsciously. I actually think a lot of the disdain towards women from men is actually just a symptom of a lack of understanding towards women. When I look back at the times where I fell out with my female friends or my girlfriends, knowing what I know now, I can actually understand completely what was going wrong. But the thing is, online there's this like meme where it's like, oh, women, am I right, guys? Oh, I'll fucking never understand how women operate. It's like fucking crazy, right? That's actually a really negative way of thinking, because there's just a very few differences between men and women that you need to know about to understand, generally speaking, why your relationships with women don't go the way you want them to. Maybe you're clashing over small things. Maybe you're consistently getting into negative relationships. And if you don't understand the basic differences between men and women, then you're in trouble. And it's not your fault, by the way. The modern world is trying to teach young men and women that men and women are the exact same, we behave the exact same, and there's no differences outside of our biological differences, obviously, but even that's under attack at this point. I think if you're mentally sane, you understand that there are biological differences between men and women. I think the bigger problem here is that men don't understand that there's also mental differences between women, how women think, how women use their brains, how women navigate the world and come to conclusions and a bunch of shit, right? Their brain is completely different to ours, okay? The idea that men and women are the exact same couldn't be further from the truth. So don't fall for that psyop. But with that said, if you want healthy relationships with women, which you should want, by the way, because there's so much fulfillment that comes from having positive relationships with women. A woman brought you into this world, okay? Women are fucking magical. It would be a massive shame to have a very negative relationship with women simply because you lack basic understanding of their differences so that you can behave in subtle different ways which will get you far better results in terms of relations with your women. In some senses, women can almost feel like an entirely different species to us. I'm confident every single man to relate to the fact that their woman is behaving in a certain way or they're thinking in a certain way which makes zero sense to them. Zero sense, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? I've been in the game for a few years now. I've been talking to women for quite some time. I have a very successful relationship currently. And not having really studied the differences, but just noticed them and being perspicacious enough to actually realize what's going on in some of these scenarios and to navigate them in a much more calculated way, I can tell you 3 main things that you guys need to know which will 10x your relationships with women. It will gain you the respect of women, it'll ensure that you don't fall out over silly things with women, and it will ultimately heal your relationship with women once you understand them. If you don't understand how something works, then you have no chance of figuring out how to actually solve it, okay? I'm gonna give you 3 rules of thumb now, and feminists, don't lose your fucking mind, okay? These are general rules of thumb. Generally speaking, women have these differences. I'm not saying all women, and I'm also not suggesting that these things are necessarily disadvantages, okay? I'm just saying and pointing out that yes, we are different. It benefits men and women if we have fantastic relationships together, okay? Here's 3 things, and if you learn these 3 things, you're already way ahead of the curve. Here we go. 1, women operate more on emotions while men tend to respond to logic much more. And I can give you a perfect example of this from my relationship, okay? I have a beautiful girlfriend. The amount of sacrifices I make for my relationship on a day-to-day basis, to me, okay, is enough proof that obviously, I love her, okay? I love her. But even still, sometimes my girlfriend will actually question my love for her. Do you even love me? Do you even think I'm beautiful and attractive? And I'm like, I work 8 hours a day, okay, to provide for us. I'm flying you out to a tropical paradise island to live with me. I call you beautiful every single day. I think you're the sexiest girl in the world, and I'd like to think that I prove that with my sexual attraction towards you. Surely, logically, okay, that is enough proof for her to know that I love her, okay? But that's not the case for women. Women, once again, operate on emotions. And sometimes, guys, emotions don't really make much sense. She needs to hear me tell her, I love you, okay? She needs to hear it. Now, I want to also say that men can also act upon emotion. I can also act upon emotion. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I've blown up a lot of good relationships with people because I've acted upon emotion, which is why practicing stoicism as a man is so important. Even recently, I had a run-in with a good friend of mine when he sent me a message essentially accusing me of some stuff which just didn't make any sense at all. And it was obviously a very emotional reaction from him. And the thing is, I read the message and it was not fair upon me at all, okay? It was not fair. And it made me very angry, actually. And a part of me wanted to just reply straight away, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? This is ridiculous. But I knew if I acted upon my emotion, much like how he probably had a moment of weakness when sending me that message, I would have potentially blown up a really good relationship for no fucking reason, okay? So I hit my assault bike and I thought through logically how he was probably feeling for him to send me this message, and then I sent a calculated response back, acting upon logic rather than emotion. So men can act upon emotion too. It's just generally speaking, women act far more upon emotion than men. So remember this before you react to your woman. Sit down, think about where she might be coming from. Use your stoicism. Don't be reactionary, because there's nothing attractive about a reactionary man, and enter scenarios with the intention to diffuse these concerns that your woman might have because she's acting upon emotion. Difference number 2 is that men want to problem solve, okay? So when we have issues, we want to solve the problem. We want to talk about solving the problem. Whereas women just want to be listened to. They don't want you to problem solve for them necessarily. And this is really difficult because as men, when a woman comes to us with their problems, our biological instinct reaction is to try and solve that problem for them because we love them so much. But something I've realized is that a lot of the time when a woman comes to you wanting to talk about some of their issues, they are once again spawned from an emotional response. And yes, you could problem solve for them. You could explain to them with facts and logic how silly their concerns might be, but that's not helpful. And they don't like when you do that. I've actually found that if you just allow a woman to talk through her issues and simply just nod your head and say, yes, oh, I understand how that feels. Yes, yeah, whatever, right? They tend to actually come to the logical conclusion themselves, which is the best case scenario, because if someone comes to a solution themselves, they're far more likely to implement it rather than being told what to do. This is why talking therapy typically works a lot better for women, because women just want to be heard. Whereas men, if we sit down with a therapist and we're like, yeah, like, I got fucking molested as a child or whatever, we want to try and problem solve that, and you can't really do that. So you're actually just revisiting very traumatic experiences for no reason, when the reality is we respond better to action. So instead of dwelling on our feelings and our past, we like going to the gym and smashing some hard fucking weights, for example. We like building a fucking business. We like channeling that energy towards building something, doing action. Women like to talk. So remember this when your girl opens up to you, your initial biological instinct will be to try and problem solve. Try to avoid doing that. It's not terrible if you do. And if you're with a good girl, she'll actually appreciate you, okay? Because she also understands this is just your instinctual reaction and she'll find it endearing. But if you actually want to try and seriously help her through something, especially when it's like a seemingly very silly and emotional thing, just be open to listening to them. Don't try and offer too many solutions. Understand them, because that's what women really want. They want to be understood, and you'll find she'll actually come to the conclusions herself. And the third biggest difference between men and women, which is not talked about enough amongst men, and honestly, you guys are going to think this is super gay and you might want to click away from this video, but if that's you, you need to hear this the most. Men and women have entirely different hormonal cycles. For men, generally speaking, we have a 24-hour hormone cycle, so we are like, baseline, we're chilling all the time, we've got the same sort of hormones day by day. Women have a 28-day cycle, meaning throughout those 28 days, their hormone profile is changing constantly, which is why you might see her moods altering throughout the month. Our hormones literally determine how we behave. A lot of you guys know the importance of testosterone. Imagine if your testosterone was like this throughout the month. Some days you can't even get out of bed. Some days you get out of bed and you're happy as fuck and you're smashing your gym and you're doing all your work, you got no brain fog. That's kind of what it's like for women. So we should actually look at this from a place of empathy. It's a very beautiful thing that women have this hormone cycle because it allows them to give life into this world, and that is magical and fucking beautiful. I love women so much. But as men, we don't actually take any responsibility towards understanding their cycle and how it might determine how they behave. And before I say this, I want to really preface this by saying a woman's cycle and understanding her cycle does not give her an excuse to behave in a disrespectful, rude way. A lot of women are actually trying to weaponize this. They'll be a dickhead to you and then say, oh, it's because I'm on my cycle. That's bullshit. Don't ever allow that to happen, because that's a one-way ticket to a very unhappy and short relationship. This is not an excuse for women to behave poorly. However, it is important for us to understand how her moods and her behaviors might alter throughout the month. And this actually benefits men too, because there is a part of this cycle where women get super horny, guys, okay? And it's good to know when she's super horny. A lot of the reason why men don't bother to learn this shit is because when we do try and learn it, a lot of people go into the scientific fucking garble, and it's like, oh yeah, on day 1, the egg is released, and on day 17, the fucking egg, it's like, it's bullshit. We don't care, right? We don't give a shit how the biology works necessarily. We want to know what we can expect from our woman. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. I'm not going to talk about what happens inside of her body. We don't really care. I found this really good graph which tells you everything you need to know in the simplest way possible. And I suggest that you tell your girlfriend to track her cycle if she's not already. So days 1 through 5, she's on her period, okay? She's bleeding. She's not very happy during this period of time. It's painful. She's very moody. She's unsure of herself. She doesn't think she's beautiful. You need to tell her constantly, baby, you're so beautiful. You need to make her feel good and support her through this period like a good boyfriend should. Then days 6 through 9, she's starting to feel happy again. Her mood's picking up. She's once again your little sunshine. Then days 10 through 13, she's very happy, she's lovely, she's very smiley. This is peak girlfriend experience, okay? This is like as normal you're gonna get during your cycle. Then days 14 through 17, she's gonna be fucking horny, boys. She's gonna be horny as fuck, okay? This is a fantastic period of time to be a man, okay? Then later on in the cycle, her mood will start to dip because her period is on its way. Once again, she's gonna be sad, she's gonna be unsure of herself. She's gonna wanna like fucking reach for some chocolate and ice cream. Don't allow her to do that. That's not helpful to her. And you want a beautiful girlfriend who doesn't reach for her vices when she's going through some hard stuff. You need to support her through this period of time. And then for the last 4 days before she hits her period, she's going to be like pissy. She's going to be like angry and like just, you know, she's going to be in that mood. Once again, her cycle is not an excuse for her to disrespect you. Do not allow her to disrespect you. Even though she might be going through it with her hormone cycle, this is no good. And it's going to lead to a very unhealthy relationship dynamic. That's all you need to know about a woman's cycle. The rest of it is scientific fucking garble that we don't care about. We just want to understand what sort of behaviors we can expect from our girlfriend through her period. And if you listen to this, well done, because I bet a lot of men, they were like, whatever, man, and they just fucking clicked away and they started watching some bullshit mental masturbatory self-improvement content instead, like, oh, top 5 tips to fucking reach day 69 on NoFap, bro. Like, yeah, good video, bro. Those 3 things will completely transform the way you behave towards women and your relationships with women, and it'll also bring you a level of understanding which allows you to heal your relationship with women and no longer actively dislike them. I hope this video helped. If you want to learn how to make money online from the comfort of your home and join over 450 of my students doing exactly that, building towards their lifestyle of freedom so they can move to Thailand and work from their laptop, click the first link in the description right now. I'll show you how. Take care, boys.